Hello. Today our topic of interest is microwave impedance measurement. And in microwave impedance measurement, we have broadly uh, uh, microwave impedance measurement is broadly classified into two. One is slot line method, another one is reflectometer method. So under slot line method, you can see the total setup used for slot line method, which is a basic microwave test bench structure. So in the left end, you can see the microwave signal source followed by isolator, and then with variable attenuator. Along next to variable attenuator is slaughter line and device under test. And mass termination is generally connected to the slaughter line. And if you want to find the impedance here in this example, we are going to find the impedance of a device or component which is unknown. So device under test means here it is unknown component, and slaughter line is connected to a detector and VSWR meter for our measurement purpose. Okay, and here, so in this topic, our objective is to find the impedance of the device under test, which is the unknown device. So in slaughter line method, we'll be using the following formulas, which is familiar to all of you. Like first one is reflection coefficient, equation of reflection coefficient represented by gamma equal to ZL minus Z0 by ZL plus Z0. So from this, this equation we may have learned even in the transmission lines and waveguides. And from this we can derive ZL, which is the load impedance. That this is what we are going to find out. ZL is equal to Z0 into 1 plus gamma L by 1 minus gamma L, where gamma L is the load reflection coefficient. And since ZL is a complex term, gamma L will also be a complex term. And gamma L can be represented as gamma L equal to modulus of gamma L into e power j phi L, where a modulus of gamma L is the magnitude of that reflection coefficient, and e power j phi L is the phase term. And that phi L formula will be equal to 2 beta d minimum minus pi, where d minimum is the distance between your load or any short circuit to the first minimum from your load. If you move from right to left in any test bin setup. And the equation for VSWR is 1 plus gamma by 1 minus gamma, which is VSWR in terms of reflection coefficient. And in phi L, you know the formula 2 beta d minimum by pi, where beta is equal to 2 pi by lambda g, where lambda g is the guide wavelength, and its formula is equal to 2 into distance between two successive minima, where two successive minima, distance between two successive minima will be definitely equal to half of guide wavelength generally. So from that equation, we have taken as lambda g is equal to 2 into distance between two successive minima. And we know the formula VSWR equal to 1 plus gamma L by 1 minus gamma L. So from this, we can derive gamma L is equal to VSWR minus 1 by VSWR plus 1. So these are all the equations we'll be using to find the value of ZL. Okay, and next graph will show you the value of d minimum is the one which is from the right end. This is the point where you will be connecting the load or short. So from the load end, if you move from towards your generator, that is from right to left, the first point where you will find the voltage minimum. So in any experiment, you may have experienced that if you move from right to left or left to right, you will get values like V minimum at one point, and the next you will reach V maximum, and then again V minimum, V maximum, V minimum, and V maximum. Okay, so if you look at the difference, I mean distance between two minima or two maxima, it will be definitely half your guide wavelength. That is lambda g by 2 here. So this is lambda g by 2, which is between two voltage minima. Or if you take any distance between two voltage maxima, again it will be equal to lambda g by 2, where d minimum is the distance from your load to the first minimum point. Okay, so if you know the value of d minimum, you can find the guide wavelength. which is given as 2 into distance between two successive minima, which will be equal to lambda g. And using d minimum, you can find the value of phi L. And and if you know the value of lambda g, you can find beta also. And so using these formulas, you can find the value of reflection coefficient gamma L, and substituting directly to ZL, you will get the value of Z. This is one method, that is slaughter line method for finding the impedance. And second one is the same can be done using a Smith chart. For example, you assume the VSWR value of this impedance measurement is 2, and D minimum is having some value. So if you know these two values, VSWR and D minimum, in terms of wavelength, you can directly find the impedance of the unknown device. So you, if the value of VSWR is 2, take a Smith chart and draw a circle with the value of 2. You know how to draw a circle with the value of 2. So from the center, take the radius as 2 and draw a circle. And if you draw the circle, it will cut the x-axis in 2 points. At the right end, it will be represented as V maximum, and left end will be represented as V minimum. You all know that. And if you know the value of D minimum, D minimum is the distance of V minimum, first V minimum from load. Okay, and if you know the value of D minimum, you all know that this is the V minimum point. So from V minimum point, if you move towards load for a distance of D minimum, you will end up in the with the load point, where you can find the impedance of that particular load. So if you want to move towards load, here in the Smith chart, it is anti-clockwise direction. If it is clockwise direction, it is wavelength towards generator. If it is anti-clockwise, it is wavelength towards load. So definitely you have to move in anti-clockwise direction for a distance of D minimum. Here it is taken somewhere around 0.35 lambda. So that point, connect that particular point to the center of this Smith chart. So that line will cut the S circle at some point. That point will give you the impedance of the load. Okay. So here in this example, it is 1 plus J 0.7. That is the load impedance. Much better or much easier than the method used the previous step. That is slaughter line method. Okay. So this is method number 2. First one is slaughter line method for measuring the impedance, and second one is using Smith chart. You all know that solving a problem using analytical equations is much complex when compared to solving a problem using Smith chart. So Smith chart is a tool or graphical method which is used to find the values in a simple way. And following this, we have another method which is reflectometer method. In reflectometer method, you can see the setup for calculating the impedance. Here, you all know impedance formula is that L is equal to Z naught into 1 plus gamma by 1 minus gamma. So if you know the value of gamma, it is easy to find the value of load impedance. So gamma value is the reflection coefficient. You can write the formula like gamma is equal to reflection coefficient is equal to root of reflected power by incident power, or reflection coefficient equal to, generally we will say it as reflected wave, magnitude of reflected wave by magnitude of incident. If it is in terms of power, take root. And gamma can also be written as ZL minus Z0 by ZL plus Z0. So this is what we are seeing. We have seen in the first slide. So in this setup, the first one is microwave signal source, which will generate the microwave signal, followed it with forward directional coupler, and the next one is reverse directional coupler, and finally the unknown load impedance, or the device under test, for which we have to find the impedance. The forward directional coupler, the forward detector is connected to the reflectometer, and the reverse detector is connected to the reflectometer from the reverse directional coupler. What happens here is, if a signal is passed from the microwave signal towards the load, the signal will be flowing through the forward directional coupler. You all know directional coupler is a 4-port device. It will have a main line and one coupled port. So one main port and one coupled port. So main line will be in forward directional coupler. Main line will be taking the signal in forward direction, and even in the coupled port will be sending the signal in forward direction. In reverse directional coupler, the main line will send the signal in forward direction, and the coupled port will take the signal in reverse direction. not in forward. That is the only difference here. So if you send the signal from microwave signal source towards load, what happens is the signal will be sent through the forward directional coupler through the main line to the reverse directional coupler, and the coupled port will send partially the signal to the forward directional coupler, and which will be directly connected to the reflectometer. So a reflectometer will measure the magnitude of the forward signal coming from the microwave signal source, and the signal will be passed through the reverse directional coupler to the unknown device. So unknown device will not be a perfectly matched load generally. If it is a perfectly matched network, there will be no reflection. You all know that. And if it is an unknown device, there will be no matching, and definitely there will be reflection. That reflected wave will come back to the reverse directional coupler, and reverse directional coupler will not allow the signal to come back. Will not allow the reflector signal to go back to the source. What happens here is it will allow the reverse reflector wave to pass through the coupled port. Okay, that coupled port is directly connected to the reverse detector, which in turn is connected to reflectometer. So reflectometer will get a second signal from the reverse detector, which is the reflector wave, magnitude of the reflector wave. So the function of reflectometer is measure the power of forward wave and measure the power of reflector wave. So it will give you the directly give you the reflection coefficient from these two values. You all know the formula is root of reflector power by incident. Okay, so if you know the reflection coefficient, directly substitute in ZL, which is the load impedance, you can find the value. And also in the second method, reflectometer method, we may get a doubt like, will there be any interference between this forward and reverse phase? There will not be any interference between these two due to the peculiar or specific properties of directional coupler. So a forward directional coupler will allow only in forward direction, and the reverse directional coupler will not allow the signal to come back to the source due to its property. Okay, so there will be no interference between forward and reverse phase. Also, the reflectometer indicates only the magnitude of the input impedance, but not the phase. Here, once again, if you want to look into the picture, forward directional coupler will pass the signal from left to right to the main port, and also send the signal to the coupled port to the forward detector. But in reverse directional coupler, will send the signal through the main line in forward direction, and in the coupled port it will send the signal through reverse direction, not to forward direction. So if there is some reflection, that reverse signal will not go through the main line to the from right to left. It will definitely go through the coupled port to the reverse detector and reflectometer, but not to the microwave signal. Okay, so this is method 2. So in this session, we have seen two types of impedance measurement. One is slot line method, and the much simplified method in to find the impedance is also called as Smith chart method. Okay, and the second most important method is reflectometer method, where we'll be using a reflectometer in the setup. The heart of the set system is two directional couplers, one is forward and one is reverse. That's why there is no interference between forward and reverse signals. Okay, thank you.